The Vanishing of Calla Hart. Lydia Mercer had always prided herself on her ability to uncover the truth, no matter how deeply it was buried. As a seasoned journalist, she had written about corruption, betrayal, and political scandal, but the story that had landed on her desk was different. It was personal, mysterious, and oddly compelling. Calla Hart, a world-renowned artist known for her surreal, dreamlike paintings, had disappeared without a trace from the sleepy seaside town of Windward Bay. It had been 2 months, and despite extensive search efforts, there had been no sign of her. The police were stumped, and the media had moved on to fresher stories, but Lydia couldn't let it go. There was something about Calla's disappearance that didn't sit right with her. Lydia made her way to Windward Bay, hoping to get a feel for the town and its people, hoping to uncover a secret that had been hidden under layers of silence for far too long. The coastal town was picturesque, with its crumbling cliffs and the endless expanse of ocean that seemed to stretch forever. But there was an unsettling stillness in the air, a sense that something had gone wrong long before Calla's disappearance. The artist's legacy. Calla had been an enigma, even in life. She had moved to Windward Bay 5 years earlier, drawn to the beauty of the place and the seclusion it offered. The locals had never truly accepted her. They saw her as an outsider. But she had created a name for herself, and her art had captivated collectors around the world. Her paintings, breathtakingly haunting depictions of the human form intertwined with nature, often featuring distorted figures in moments of quiet torment, had made her both revered and feared. Lydia visited the gallery where Calla's works had once been displayed. The walls, once lined with paintings, were now bare. The space felt hollow, as though something essential had been stripped away. The gallery owner, a man named Hugo Calloway, was the only one there, sitting behind a desk stacked with paperwork. "Lydia Mercer, right?" Hugo asked, his voice gruff but polite. "I heard you were in town, looking for answers." "Yes," Lydia replied, settling into a chair across from him. "I'm investigating Calla's disappearance. I'd like to know more about her time here, her work, anything that might help me understand what happened." Hugo leaned back in his chair, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the desk. Calla was different. She had a strange energy about her. She was a genius, no doubt, but there was something dark about her. People in this town didn't know what to make of her, and honestly, I think she preferred it that way. "Do you think her disappearance has anything to do with her art?" Lydia pressed. Hugo's gaze darkened. "Maybe, but I don't think it's the art people are interested in. It's the secrets. Calla had a lot of them. Maybe too many. The hidden truth." Lydia spent the next few days speaking to the townspeople, gathering fragmented pieces of information. Everyone had a different story. Some said she'd fallen in love with a local fisherman named Declan, but that relationship had soured. Others claimed Calla had been a recluse, locked away in her cottage for days at a time, only coming out for the occasional walk along the cliffs. But one conversation stood out above the rest. An elderly woman, Mabel, who lived in a small cottage at the edge of town, seemed to know more than she let on. When Lydia approached her, Mabel didn't greet her with the usual skepticism the townspeople had shown. Instead, her eyes narrowed, and she ushered Lydia inside. "You want to know about Calla?" Mabel asked, her voice raspy but firm. "I know more than you think, but you won't like what I have to say." Lydia sat across from her, eager to learn anything that might unlock the mystery. "She wasn't the innocent artist everyone thought she was," Mabel continued. "Calla came to Windward Bay to escape something, or someone, and she brought something with her. Something that should never have been unleashed." Lydia frowned, not sure if Mabel was talking about a literal thing or something metaphorical. "What do you mean?" "I mean she was involved in things," Mabel said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Things that were better left buried. I don't know if she knew what she was getting into, but once she did, she couldn't stop. People got hurt." Lydia's heart raced. What happened to her? Where did she go? Mabel's eyes shifted nervously toward the window, as if checking to make sure no one was listening. She found it. She found the place where the darkness started. And she opened it up. The town. It's not as quiet as it seems. You need to look beneath the surface, Miss Mercer. The answers are all there, but you have to be willing to see them. The discovery. Determined to uncover the truth, Lydia returned to Calla's cottage, a small, weathered house nestled on the cliffs overlooking the sea. The door was unlocked, as if inviting her inside. The air was heavy with the scent of salt water, and the sound of crashing waves filled the silence. Lydia explored the cottage, noting the stark contrast between the chaos of the outside world and the stillness within. It was as though time had frozen here, as if Calla had left everything in haste. But it wasn't until she opened the door to a small, hidden room at the back of the house that she uncovered the truth. On the walls were dozens of sketches, dark, twisted images of human forms distorted by shadows. Some of them appeared to be of people Lydia recognized from the town. But there was one sketch that stood out above the rest. It was a self-portrait of Calla, but her face was blank, as though it had been erased, leaving only a shadow behind. At the center of the room, on a pedestal, was a painting, its canvas stretched and cracked with age. It depicted a scene of the sea, but the water was black, and in the center of the image was a figure. Calla herself, her face twisted in agony. Lydia's breath caught in her throat. It was then she realized. Calla had known something terrible about this town, something that had consumed her and now seemed to have swallowed her whole. The dark twist. As Lydia pieced together the fragments of Calla's life, she discovered the truth. Calla had been involved in a secret cult, one that had been operating in Windward Bay for decades. The cult believed that the sea was not just a body of water, but a gateway to something far darker, something that had been awakened by Calla's arrival. The painting in the room, Lydia realized, wasn't just art. It was a ritual that had gone wrong. And in her quest to uncover the truth, Calla had unwittingly become part of the very thing she sought to destroy. She had been consumed by the darkness she had uncovered. And now, Lydia feared, she was trapped there forever. But as Lydia stood over the painting, a voice whispered in her ear, cold and chilling, "You shouldn't have come here." Turning quickly, she saw a figure standing in the doorway. A shadowy, indistinct form, its features hidden in the gloom. Lydia backed away, but the figure stepped forward, its face coming into the light. It was Calla, or rather, it was the figure of Calla, but her eyes were empty, hollow, and filled with an endless darkness. "You've uncovered the truth," Calla said, her voice a hollow echo. "But it's too late." With those words, Lydia felt the ground beneath her tremble, and the world around her seemed to shift, as though the very fabric of reality was being torn apart. In that moment, Lydia realized the horrifying truth. The town was not what it seemed. Windward Bay had never been a peaceful place. It was a place built on secrets, on shadows, and on a darkness that would never be fully understood. And Lydia Mercer had just become a part of it. As the shadows closed in around her, she realized the ultimate tragedy. Some truths were better left undiscovered.